Hello and welcome. Today we're going to continue with the theme of summer beach cover-ups by showing you how to make a lightweight embellished tunic. This will be a two-part series. Today we're going to focus on using the decorative stitches on your domestic machine, and next week we'll show you how to make a similar tunic using your embroidery machine. To start with, you'll need a tunic pattern. For my tunic, I've used a Berta magazine pattern from the April 2009 issue, but any basic tunic pattern will work, like the Quick Sew pattern 3601. If you already own a basic tunic pattern, but it doesn't have the external facing, here is a simple way to create one. Lay your front and back tunic piece out and draw a line 1.5 inches away from the edge of the front and back neck edges, extending your front line down at least 1.5 inches below the front slit opening and angling to a V at the center front. If the top will be worn just as a cover-up, you may wish to extend the front slit mark a bit lower before drawing this line. Now, place some tissue paper over your pattern pieces and trace this facing line. Mark the slit opening, but trace along the front neck edge. Add seam allowances to the facing pieces and cut out. If the pattern includes an inside neck facing, you will no longer need it. You may also choose to create an external facing for the lower sleeve. This can be created in the same way. Now for the materials. I love to use a 100% woven rayon for the tunic as it has a beautiful soft drape. But if you will be packing it to travel or crushing it into a beach bag, you may find rayon too wrinkly. An airy cotton voile or cotton batiste is a nice option. If your fabric is 60 inches wide, you will usually only require the length of your body plus the length of the sleeve for your yardage, but check the pattern yardage requirement. Allow extra if you're making the tunic longer to wear as a cover-up, and make sure to allow for shrinkage, as I highly recommend pre-shrinking any of these fabrics. You will also need a lightweight fusible interfacing and some tearaway stabilizer for your decorative stitching. For constructing the top, I will be using Designer in the sewing machine. Designer is a strong polyester thread that comes in 210 colors, so it will be easy to find a good coordinating color. For the decorative stitching on this top, I'll be using 2D. 2D is a 100% cotton thread, which goes nicely with the cotton or rayon natural fiber look of the top. It is color fast, so the color will stay true when exposed to water, and the beautiful random variegation will add some real pizzazz to my decorative stitches. Cut out the tunic front and back, sleeves, and the external front and back facings, as well as the optional sleeve facing, out of your chosen fabric. Also, cut out the facing pieces from your fusible interfacing and fuse in place. To test your design ideas, fuse a leftover piece of fabric with some interfacing and lay on top of some tearaway stabilizer. Scroll through some of the stitch designs that appeal to you. Load your machine with 2D in the top and do some test lines to see what combination of stitches you like. I'll be using stitches 41 in the cross stitch designs and number 60 in the decorative stitches section on my Janome machine. Some machines will have a mirror image feature which will help you to create a symmetrical design. Each company will have different decorative stitches, and this is a great opportunity to have some fun playing with the built-in stitches in your machine. I chose the cross-stitch style of stitches to give my tunic a bit of a bohemian feel, but go ahead and choose the stitches that appeal to you. Once you've decided on the combination you like, determine how you would like to space your stitching lines, then use a disappearing marker to draw straight or curved lines evenly spaced along the lines of your facing pieces. Make sure not to have the stitching lines run too close to the seam allowance or to the center front slit. Place some tearaway stabilizer under your facings. Following the lines, stitch several rows of decorative stitching on both the front and back facing. If you've chosen to do a sleeve facing, repeat this process. When you have completed all of your decorative stitching, tear away the stabilizer, then join the side seams of the facing, taking extra care to match your decorative stitching lines. Press the seams open. Run a line of stitching along the seam allowance of the facings, then press in the raw edge along this stitching and trim the seam allowances to 1/4 inch. If your tunic has front darts, stitch these from the wide end to the point. Don't backstitch at the point, but finish by knotting the thread tails. If you have a serger to finish the seams, stitch the front and back shoulders right sides together, then serge the seams to finish and press the seams to the back. If you don't own a serger, I recommend doing French seams in the following manner. Place the front and back wrong sides together and stitch the shoulder seams, taking up only a 3/8 inch seam. Trim close to the seam. Then place the two pieces right sides together and press. Stitch together with a 1/4 inch seam allowance, thus encasing your raw edge and creating a neat inside finish. Again, press the seams to the back. Determine the end of the front slit and place a small square of fusible interfacing at the point of the slit on the right side of the front. Place the right side of your neck facings to the wrong side of your front and back piece and pin along the neck edge, matching the center backs and shoulder seams. Next, draw a chalk line where the center front slit will be on the front facing. Also, place a pin at the exact center of the front at the bottom of the front V. Stitch 5/8 inch from the neck edge, starting at the center back. One 1/4 inch before you get to the marked center front slit line, leave your needle down and turn. Then stitch a straight line to the point of your pin. Take a single stitch across, then turn and stitch up at the same angle. Turn and continue to stitch to your starting point. Now cut carefully straight down the slit, cutting exactly into the point. Trim the top corners of your slit. Then flip the facing so that it is face up on the right side of your tunic front and back. Carefully pin the edges of the facing down. Top stitch the facing down very close to the folded under edge. Hand baste in place if you are more comfortable doing so before you top stitch. If you have chosen to do sleeve facings, repeat all these steps to face the bottom edges of your sleeves. Run a row of E-stitch along the cap of the sleeve. Now place the sleeves onto the sleeve opening of the tunic and stitch in place, following the French seam method. Please refer to our tutorial on how to do a French seam on a curved seam. You're almost finished. Place the tunic wrong sides together and stitch in a continuous seam from sleeve edge to tunic bottom, matching underarm seams and stopping stitching approximately 4 inches from the bottom on both sides. Snip into the seam allowance to the stitching at the point of the side slits. Then place the tunic right sides together and finish your French seam. Turn in the raw edge and top stitch from the bottom edge up one side of the slit, across the top, and down the other side. Now go back and continue the inside stitching of the French seam about 1 inch into the hemmed slit edge. Finally, turn in a 1/4 inch along the bottom edge and press. Repeat, then top stitch the hem in place. Tack the sleeve seams to the back. If you've chosen not to face the sleeves, turn in a double narrow hem as you did for the tunic bottom and stitch. A tunic is a relatively simple garment to make, and cut a little long, it makes a great swimsuit beach cover-up. However, with the addition of some decorative stitching and a gorgeous thread, you can create a uniquely stylish fashion piece. Please join us next week when we'll show you how to make a similar tunic using your embroidery machine. Leave a comment in the comment section below, and let us know what you'd like to see next time or if you have any questions. We'll see you then.